Shouldn't have made coffee. I should have had like a whiskey.
Hi, you guys, and welcome to In Between the Pages with James Lott Jr. I'm James Lott Jr., of course. And we're going to get in between the pages with this, my next guest, a friend of mine. Now, you think I do a lot of stuff? Let me list the things that he be doing. He's a label owner, manager, record producer, radio promoter, music publisher. He does TV. He's done acting. He's done a lot of stuff. And we're going to talk to him about all different things that he's doing and who he's working with, some names you know. And just a really cool guy. And he's coming from East Coast at the moment, and I'm here on the West Coast, and we're going to talk about it. My friend, Michael DeBarge. Hi, Michael.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Well, I'm going to actually ask you, how are you doing? Because you're from LA, but you're in New York right now. How are you doing during this whole pandemic thing?
Fine. I mean, yeah, I feel like I've been self-quarantining for years. You know, so I've been avoiding everybody. And I'm really actually more so from New York, so I go back and forth.
Okay.
But, you know, it's actually been great. Like, for me, business has been good. So I'm doing all the radio stuff on the side. And since all the TV shut down, everyone's going to radio. So it's actually been fantastic. Minus people that I know have passed away. Other than that, as far as work is concerned, it's been good. It's been really, really, really good.
You bring up a really good point, because I'm doing a lot more stuff in my podcast world now because Hollywood shut down, obviously. There's like nothing, no productions happening. And so now everything is kind of audio right now, mainly. Just so, you know, I'm doing videos and stuff too, but like most of it is audio. So I guess that's worked in your favor, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's also allowed me to catch up. So it's like I've been sitting here releasing back catalog records like crazy. I'm dropping things that are like 12 years old that I never thought I'd look at again. Yeah, just to keep people engaged and to give myself something to do.
Well, you just said something that I was grappling with about 2 months ago. I was like, I talked to my producers. I'm like, should we put out music? Like, I mean, I was trying to figure out what can I release. I mean, we're home for a while for the foreseeable future. What should I put out there? And they're like, definitely put out stuff, because they need stuff to keep their mind off of the virus, right?
You could put out anything. It really doesn't matter. Like, seriously, like, just to entertain myself, I started doing a whole lo-fi album, you know? So, yeah, because you don't have to sit there and worry about crafting an entire song from beginning, middle to end and mixing it wonderfully. Like, I'm just taking the easy way out and just having fun with it.
Yeah, no, I'm taking your advice. I've kind of decided to put shit out there, just do it. And people are receiving some of the stuff, so I'm like, it's good. I mean, just put it out there. Some more stuff coming out. I have an album that I did a year and a half ago. When I was coming out, I had a severe case of Bell's palsy, so I was paralyzed my left side, and I wrote all these songs during that time period about being paralyzed. And then I recorded it with just a keyboard and a drum machine, and it sounds like nothing I've ever done before. And my producer's like, James, put it out. Put it out. You know, you just said, don't worry about doing it. We're not gonna mix it all wonderful. We're not gonna do all this stuff. Just put it out. It's you. Put it out.
Yeah, there's these subgenres for everything. You know, so when you're looking at like the way Spotify and Apple Music, mostly Spotify, I think that's the best platform. There's playlists for everything. Some of that stuff that just is kind of thrown together, but it's still cool and it has a good melody, that ends up on these things like playlists called like bedroom pop.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like somewhere between, you know, top 40 pop records and ones that just weren't completely executed, or they're just really good ideas. You know, and that stuff makes a lot of money. So as long as you know where to put it, it's worth doing.
So I want to ask you, for you and your artists, do you think Spotify really is like the premier place at this point? Like past Apple and all those places and Pandora and stuff. You think Spotify is the place?
Okay. The other sites pay better.
Okay.
So for that, you know, people go for that. I just think that the platform of Spotify functions better. I think a lot of people forget what we're doing. It's not a record store, and that community feeling that we used to have at the record store, where you could ask people for, like that you would get referrals and the advertising was in there and everything else. Spotify, you don't really have that, but you have it sort of in a different way through the playlisting. What it is that I have a different way of viewing Spotify. The way I see it is that Spotify is a social media site. Spotify is no different from Instagram or Facebook. You want to get your clients to, or not your clients, but you want to get your fans to follow you. You want them to be able to buy your merch and use Spotify as like your main source. It's a great hub. And Spotify, if people are following you, Spotify will actually help you with the promotion a little bit, but it's enough. So I think that Spotify, there's a lot of things like Loom and all these other things that are popping up, but I take them with a grain of salt. You know, I think they're going to be here today, gone tomorrow. Someone else is going to buy them. But Spotify is really like a social media site. And what Spotify also does, they bought a company called Sound Better. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So Sound Better is all affiliated. They're all in the mix. So you can actually hire, you know, the person that you're listening to. And they have easy channels to where you can do that. Where Apple Music just feels like a traditional retailer. I don't know. Ever since Steve Jobs died, I feel like the whole Apple company is kind of. I'm just not impressed. I have. Still, and I don't know why I have it.
Well, I mean, it's a platform, I guess. It's almost like everybody has Facebook. I mean, Facebook is just like, that's your grandfather's, you know, like it's there. It's not going anywhere. It's there.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about Facebook either. I'm hardly on that thing.
A lot of folks don't like Facebook. A lot of folks are just kind of like, now they're onto the, you know, obviously Instagram, Twitter, those kind of places. But I feel like Apple is just like Apple Podcast. It's all part of just the big machine. That's just, you know, it's there. I mean, it's you know.
Yeah.
We're all on it for.
But I do Spotify to answer. I think Spotify is the best place to go with the best flexibility. It's easy to search for things. You know what's.
It's a lot on there too. I like it, and you're right. So the playlists are really fun, and they're like really, really fun.
I like that the numbers are public. People can really see what you're doing. You know, on Apple Music, you're just kind of looking at the song and objectively listening to it. But Spotify, you can kind of see where the trends are going because they have the song counts are there. You know, so you'll be able, if you'd like to study artists, like for example, like with Little Richard passing, like many other people, I just started going down the Richard rabbit hole, just, you know, thinking about if I was in charge of his career, what would I have done? Or, you know, or what could he have done better? Or what did he do that was great that people didn't pay attention to? And it was great because on Spotify, I could look up all of his old albums that he had released and things that sounded nothing like Tutti Frutti and the other stuff. And I was able to see the numbers and kind of get an idea of the gauging of activity that's there. And I wouldn't be able to see it on Apple Music. So.
Yeah, it's funny. The other day, it's funny you just say that. The other day, because I have, you know, obviously have Spotify for Artist app for myself, so I can see what I'm doing. And I have a song with a friend of mine. And I looked on it and it was like, oh, it's the #1 song this week. Like of all my songs, that did a lot of spins. And I blinked out for a second, but then I remember, oh wait a minute, I did a TikTok with that song in it. That's why that song possibly did more than the other. I didn't promote the song in my brain. I didn't promote the song. It's a song's been out for a while. But I was like, oh yeah, I did a TikTok with that song. Okay, and I said on the TikTok, you can find this on Spotify. I think I did say that, and I totally forgot.
Well, some people are just using the Shazam app, or they're seeing that the song's listed. You know, like even when if you post something about it, if you put that TikTok in your like an Instagram story,
yeah,
people will see it. They can click on it, and automatically it's going to start turning, you know, converting that click into a sale.
Yeah. But I just want to blink. I want to blink for a second. I just forgot. I was like, oh, I forgot. That's why I was just kind of looking, going, I'm promoting these two songs, but that song is #1. I'm like, oh, that's because earlier in the week I did promote it. Basically, I mean, I was on TikTok.
Yeah.
I have like too many people on TikTok, so yeah, it went out to them. So I was like, okay.
But it's also great to save money that way too. The Spotify for Artists setup really allows you to know where the trends are going. Yes, I look at that thing religiously. I'm talking like maybe 6 times a day. I go through all my clients, see what's going on, what things are moving, what things aren't.
I am hooked on Spotify. I'm hooked on TikTok. I'm completely hooked. I do like 3 videos a day. I'm on there all the time. It's crazy to me.
I have yet to get a TikTok account, and I keep seeing people dancing around and everything else. And I was a dancer, so I get like a performer's anxiety when it comes to something like TikTok. I don't know. I'm avoiding it as long as I can.
Well, see, I'm not doing dancing videos, and that's what my friend today who I interviewed earlier was like, James, you're amazing. I have like 13,000 followers in like 2 months or whatever I just got, and they're like, you're not doing any weird. You're talking to people. Like that's basically what I'm doing. I chose to use TikTok. This is how I am anyway. I chose to use TikTok in a way that would fit me, and I was curious to see what would happen. And actually, apparently, it's working. So it's kind of weird. It's like it's working. But I've not done no Savage video or that kind of stuff. I know any of that kind of stuff. I have not done it.
That's what I thought it all was.
What?
I thought it was nothing but that.
No, here's what's funny, Michael. If you go, I did some research. There were guys on there that do like Bible verse a day because it's only a minute long. They'll do like a Bible verse a day. There are folks who do snippets of short films on there really quick. There are people who talk about positive stuff on there. I have people who are career coaches that are on there. Like seriously, it's a whole world that it's not talked about because it's the dancing videos and the prank videos and all those that get the most attention. But there are folks who have millions of viewers and they're not doing dance videos.
So what's the difference between TikTok and Instagram? Because Instagram pretty much has those same features. Is it like an editing thing or?
Yeah, well, TikTok gives you all kinds of, fun things you can do on there. Plus, TikTok is 15 seconds or a minute. You can't go any longer than a minute. And it's directly on there. And for some reason, the audience is just different than Instagram. It's a very different audience. And it's like I said, I'm blown up on it. I have over 2 million views of myself on there. It's crazy. I mean, it's just like, that I don't have on Instagram. It's a very different platform.
Maybe I'll download it tonight.
Well, I mean, your artist should be on there. I thought that's one of the things. Like,
well, that's the thing. Some of them are, and that's why, like, I don't know. I don't know. I guess it was just me. I'm probably transitioning and getting old, and I just looked at it.
And I'm going backwards. I'm benching myself. I'm getting younger. As I'm deciding, like, screw that. But no, but I tell you, I go, just download and just check it out. Like, put in a hashtag anything, and just see what pops up for you. And you'll be curious, you'll be interested to see what you'll see. There are a lot of silly videos and all that kind of stuff on there. But look at my page, James Lott Jr. You'll see what I'm doing. Look at my page.
Yeah, that's where I start. Because the thing is, I swear, I just think it's weird dance videos and, like you said, the prank.
Look at my page, James Lott Jr., and you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see all my numbers. You'll see all my numbers, and it is crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I have to be in your TikTok videos so I can get my numbers up.
Yeah, that's right. I did a few old TikToks. They did okay. But here's okay. So that leads into we were talking. You do so many different kinds of music. I mean, like you've worked on TV and you work with the Rio Olympics ceremony. You work on that too.
Yeah.
So you have that. That's a different kind of music. Then you have hip hop artists. I heard some of your songs. You have dance artists. So I mean, like, were you always like a multi-genre music person in your personal life, and did that just carry over into music?
I have no idea.
Okay.
You know what? I never saw the point in when producers would pigeonhole themselves.
Yeah.
So you would hear something that like Quincy Jones would do, and you'd hear it go from so jazzy to so urban.
Yes.
It really didn't matter. He would jump into anything. And I thought another person I found really interesting, even though a lot of people kind of think this guy's a little bit corny, was Lionel Richie. And people didn't realize Lionel Richie was doing all that soft pop stuff. He was doing things that sounded a little bit more aggressive for other people. And then he was also doing country records with Kenny Rogers. So when I was younger, I was one of those weird people that was obsessing. Like if I found records that I liked, and I'm like 3 years old, and I would look at the names on the labels, and I'd look at the liner notes, and I would be so amazed how different songs sounded, but the same people were working on these records all the time. So you'd have like there was a guy that a lot of people don't talk about. His name was, I think, Michael McGlory. He worked on a lot of Jermaine Jackson records, but he worked on just about everyone's stuff. Just like Bacaro, the guys from Toto. Yes. They worked on everybody's. And I used to think it was crazy how they were doing this and why it sounded so different. I used to wonder, why do the drums not sound this way? Why do they sound this way in this record, but not in this record? What's this guy actually doing? I didn't understand. I was literally like a toddler. Yeah. And I don't know. I just thought it was cool. So as I got older, I would say yes to everything.
Oh, funny.
And I would figure it out as I went. So if someone came to me and said, "Hey, let's do a gospel album," I'd be like, "Yeah, sure." And I would just look up what's going on, and I would just try to find something without getting too submerged in the logistics of it. And then I would just do my own thing. So everything sounds intrinsically my own, but it's, I try to get it in the genre somehow. So like I have, I think I might have also hurt myself though by doing that, because a lot of producers have a specific sound.
Yeah. And
I realized I don't really have a sound. I'll just, whatever comes my way, I'm going to go take a swing at it.
That's kind of cool, though. I'm going to run something by you. So, because you know the Jacksons and everything. So I'm going to run something by you. I always thought that Jermaine should have went more new wave. Because when he did the song with Devo, We Took Your Fancy, and all those kinds of songs, I thought there was something there. Because he did with himself, when he did Let's Get Serious, and that's all these different songs. Then he went to the whole Dynamite and all that. I kept thinking, what if he went that direction, did a little more experimental stuff in that pop R&B genre? I wonder how that would have worked.
I spent many, 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 many years obsessing over that same thought.
Oh my God, how funny, Michael. See, there you go. Okay.
No, I'm really serious. You know, it was, to me, Jermaine had two sides.
Yes.
And there was the producer side and there was the writer side.
Yeah.
I don't think Jermaine was a bad writer at all. But I think that, I just don't think that was, I don't feel like that was where he was at. Like, for some reason, I felt like the way he wrote didn't sound like someone who really was dying to express themselves. And I think the reason why it felt like that to me was because Jermaine was a really, really, I'm talking like he's dead.
I know, he's alive, folks. He's alive still.
No, he's fine. He's fine.
We're saying the past. Saying the past was.
He's just not as active as he used to be.
Yeah.
But he had too many things to lean on. And sometimes I think when people have too many options, they get screwed up. So in my mind, Jermaine Jackson is like a safer version of Prince. And people will probably think I'm a horrible person for saying that. But seriously, Jermaine could play like anything. He could literally play like any instrument. If you listen to his vocal arrangements, that shit is sick. His vocal ability is amazing. If he wasn't Michael Jackson's brother, honestly, I think Jermaine actually has the better of the two voices.
Okay.
You know, Michael was an incredible performer and everything else. And Michael was a great writer, but Jermaine is a producer. You got to remember, when Michael had Thriller, right? Jermaine was doing Whitney Houston's records.
Yes, yes.
And he was the number one. He was in there as far as ranking as the number one record producer in the business. Yeah, they're getting nominated for, Grammys at the same time for different roles. And I think that Jermaine doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Right.
But as a producer, I think he could have gotten a lot further. I think that I think what really hurt him was during his prime years, he was locked in at Motown. And from the understanding that I have is that he was supposed to end up being like Neo, where he was going to be the president of Motown, or he'd be running his own thing.
Yeah.
And that didn't quite happen.
Right.
But if you listen to like the stuff he did in the 70s, that funk stuff, if you listen to like Space Odyssey, all those things, that stuff was great. I just wish that whether it was Devo or not, I just think Jermaine should have been more of a producer. And I think that he should have been producing and collaborating with people like Bootsy Collins.
Yeah, I can see that.
He understood all that, and it always sounded great. And I think there was just this stigma of him coming out of a boy band, and a lot of fans are blaming him for breaking up the group, which doesn't make sense. The group left, he stayed.
Right.
He didn't leave; they left.
Yeah. Right.
And I don't really think it's a fair assessment for him. So, I just think it was like he was doing the right work at the wrong time. And like Dynamite, I thought Dynamite was fantastic.
Yes. But
I never particularly liked the Rain Against the Fall. That was a hit.
Right. Even like Escape from the Planet, the apes, the ant song.
That was really strange. That was weird as hell. But the thing is, sonically and vocally, it was great.
I loved it.
Topic.
You saw a song with Pia Zadora, When the Rain Begins to Fall.
That's what I was just saying. That was a big record.
And so it's kind of funny that it seemed like, I mean, obviously Michael was the big shadow. I mean, so any other Jackson after that was going to deal with that. And I felt like Jermaine had the most ability to actually be a big star himself. Janet did, of course, because she had her thing later. But I feel like Jermaine was there. I mean, Jermaine was seeing co-lead on many of the early Jackson 5 songs, folks. And then he
was lead until his voice changed.
Right.
There's old demos of that stuff lingering around. I think another thing that happened was Jermaine. If it wasn't for Jermaine, Michael wouldn't have become the Michael he is. No. Jermaine was the one negotiating deals for himself and signing artists and producing for people and having that freedom, while Michael and the brothers still were, even when they signed to Epic, they weren't really producing anything yet.
Yeah.
Not until Destiny did they really just, go crazy.
Right.
So those couple of years, Jermaine was having hits with everybody from, God, I can't remember. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows that he was doing Switch, but he was producing for a lot of people over at Motown.
Yeah.
And him and his brothers were still close. It wasn't like they weren't friends. They're
Right.
family.
Right.
And I know for a fact that Michael was asking me questions about that all the time, you know, about how you're producing your records. What are you doing? How are you going about it? You know, you got to think about it. Jermaine was getting nominated for Let's Get Serious that he did with Stevie Wonder. He was getting nominated the same year that Michael was getting nominated for Off the Wall, but Michael came in with a super huge team, and Jermaine came in with the same guys he'd been working with all the time. You know, so it's almost not a fair fight.
Yeah. So relating this to you, it's just funny we have that in common. That's so funny we have that in common. I mean, I really always thought about the Jermaine.
Did you ever hear his he did a record in, I want to say 2012, where he did an album of standards, where he just went in there and probably did all the songs in 2 takes?
No.
And it's, oh man, look this up. Some of his vocal performances, I'm telling you, like on a scale from like, you know, 1 to 10, he's like a solid like 9 to 11 the whole way through. Yeah,
well, he did an album in India. He did a song in India. It's like something to Bombay. And I love that song. That was in the 2000s.
Oh, Mumbai City, yeah.
Yes, I love that song. I love the song. I mean,
still, yeah,
it's like butter. It's like butter. I mean, it's fine. Yeah. I love it. But now for you, what do you look for in artists for yourself? Because I know you're an analytical kind of guy, and you're thinking about things like what do you look? Because you work with, what's about some people you work with, but what do you look for in artists for you to work with?
Sanity.
Okay.
Seriously, sanity. I don't really care if the person's talented. If I like them as a person, I'll deal with them. If I don't like them as a person, I am not going to stick around.
Wow. Okay.
If they're, because I've done less with more and more with less when it comes to something. And if they're easy to work with, that means that they're malleable, they're open, they're coachable, and you can bring people in to make somebody sound good. It's just, I don't really think that every artist is meant to be a recording artist for the rest of their lives.
Oh, okay.
But I do believe that everybody can have a moment. And I think that's what happens when people are pegged as one-hit wonders.
Yeah.
I don't really believe that anyone's really just a one-hit wonder. I think that people always have another hit left in them, but sometimes they got to jump to a different genre. Or they got to figure something else out, or they got to play a different role. But you can create a moment. And that's what I try to do with everybody that I'm working with, which is why you'll see there's a lot of singles and there's a lot of strange collaboration things, because I'm just looking to create a moment with each person that I know can work. So like for example, Doc from UTFO and Houdini, the guy that did Roxanne. I was doing a bunch of different records with him, and it was more like we just got along so well that we're just recording together. But when it came time for, me really trying to go, okay, we got to make some money now, I was just focused on moments. And another radio promoter I know, Gary Lefkowitz, and another guy named Mike Rogers. Mike was the guy that did Groovers in the Heart for D-Light.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Legal Lit, a few other things. And
yeah.
Gary's, he's like this 60-year-old Jewish guy, and he comes up to me and he's like, Mike, I got this song, okay? I just got the top line. It goes, oh, ghetto baby. And I'm like, yo, dude, you sound so racist right now. Gary's the sweetest guy I ever meet. Like, I knew what he was going for, but he was trying it as a reggae record. And Gary's produced records for groups like Inner Circle, the Bad Boys, and Cops. And I brought Doc in without telling them who he was, because I knew they wouldn't recognize him off the bat. And literally in one session, he completely rewrote it, laced the whole thing. And we were able to find that moment. And then it was a rap record still. And UTFO was kind of known for crossing over and doing R&Bs.
I remember.
Yeah, they were traveling with New Edition.
Yep.
So there was a point where they wanted Doc to join New Edition at one point.
Oh, wow.
And we had him go back and sing it. Everything he just did, but do it in a more melodic way, and not necessarily Fairy Tale Lover, but more in a melodic, poppy UTFO way. And that's what worked. So we're able to get, Doc was probably about 45, 47 years old at the time. Mm-hmm. And we're able to get a 47-year-old rapper that no one's heard of in almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Back on the charts multiple times.
Yeah.
Over the course, like the record first hit the top 100 in like 2010, and then we popped again in 2015.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It was just creating that moment.
Yeah.
You know, and he wasn't even out touring and promoting the song. He just had to do something that would stick, and then it was good enough and strong enough and youthful enough to be able to get it into these different TV shows and whatnot.
People like that. You know, you work with someone who was around back in the golden age of rap. Did you know about UTFO? Did you know how Roxanne, all that? Did you know how important that was? Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's why. Yeah, that's why. I have the coolest life. I get to, like, all the people that I was obsessing over on those records, you know, on the labels, reading their names, they're all friends of mine now, and I get to work with them all the time, and it's very surreal. It's a crazy situation to be in.
I understand.
You know?
I understand. It's almost full circle moments. The people I interview, I'm like, I went to your concert 30 years ago, and now you're on my show. Like, it's kind of weird sometimes when that happens. You're like, oh, okay. I watched your TV show, you know, back in the 80s, and now you're on my show. Now you're on my phone. Now you're my friend. Like, it can be a little. Do you find yourself pinching yourself sometimes, going, okay, I know all these kind of people that I work with them. That kind of hit you sometimes.
To myself right now, it's so weird. Sometimes I feel like I'm completely insane, and it's not even real. Like, I even with like Corey Feldman, like I met him on and off.
Yes.
For years, you know, like I was a little kid actor and stuff. So there's the same circles, but he was older than me. And to be in this situation where I don't know, man. It's bizarre. It's amazing. It's one of these days I'm gonna have to write like a memoir or something, because it's a very, very, very surreal thing to happen, and it's overwhelming sometimes. I'm telling you, on a daily basis, I'm freaking out, because I can't imagine, like, why, of all the people in the world, are you trusting me this much with your career? And then when I don't mess up, I'm always thinking, how did I figure this out? Because sometimes it really is just like an instinct thing. So it's the same way that I was, like, you know, when Richard passed. Richard was great. Richard had helped me with a project many years ago through an old entertainment manager that I knew when I was buying back some old publishing, and it was one of those pay it forward kind of things. And when Richard had passed, I really was sitting there researching what he was doing, and I had done so much work for Chubby Checker over the years, on and off, whether it was radio or, you know, helping with the songs, singing background vocals, whatever it was, you know, negotiating deals, that it just made me feel a whole, like, this sinking guilt feeling where I'm like, oh my God, Chubby's the last one we got. James Brown was like the Michael of that generation.
Right.
Richard was clearly the Prince of that generation.
Yes.
All day.
Yes.
And then Chubby's like the kind of, I guess you could say, corny dancey guy. You know, he was basically the TikTok of that generation.
Yeah.
That Soldier Boy, I guess you could say. And I'm feeling all this pressure that no one's putting on me but myself to come up with new projects for him, to get him back in a place where the public is responding. He's fine financially and everything else. He's doing wonderfully. But I really get bothered when I'm seeing these artists pass. And then all of a sudden, everyone's posting about them like they were the greatest thing. But in my mind, I'm like, I was there. Where the hell were you guys?
Right.
You know, you were talking about this guy 2 weeks ago. But with my clients and some of the people that I mentor, I'm bringing these people up all the time, making them read books, making them study things like Casablanca Records and Phil Spector and everyone else. Yeah, so it's like the history to me is important because it's constantly cycling over. But I'm telling you, I was not sleeping. I was up all night going through old Chubby records, thinking, what can I do? How can I make this better? How can I, like, you know, get this in like a film? I just want to get this guy back into a situation where the public is responding before it's too late, because it would be terrible to miss out on something. We had a record called Changes that was on the Billboard charts, fluctuating for like about 54 weeks, but never got a big station.
Yeah.
Why?
Wow.
It's a really really weird thing where I've just noticed that let's say something that
it's weird.
You might edit this.
Oh, that's fine. This is real life, folks. No, the thing is, you're talking about how it's weird when you put out a song and it kind of goes up and down, and like this person's a national treasure, and it's like, well, why didn't it get really big? It did some stuff, like why didn't it get really big? Like you never know. You never know.
Dude, it's racism. I mean, I hate this. Like, no, seriously, this is good old fashioned racism. Honestly, like I have noticed, and I apologize to the people that might get offended by what I'm saying, is that the media, most media, and most uh, companies that own radio stations, they really love dead niggas.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't, like, you weren't hearing Michael Jackson on the radio until he died. You were barely hearing Whitney Houston on the radio until she died. I mean, the radio kind of blocked anything that was pre-Beatles, which is why you don't really hear Little Richard. But I'm sure you're going to start hearing things, at least children's stations, you're playing his Itsy Bitsy Spider stuff. You know, like, there's a lot of things that you just don't hear. But once the person's dead, they'll be playing it like crazy. And I know it's the estates getting into it and promoting and everything else, but it's like, why are you doing this now that the person's gone? Oh, because everyone else makes money but that person because they're gone.
Right.
And it's a messed up thing. And I always try to get ahead of that. So that's why I was taking the Skee Los and the Doc Ices and the Joe Skee Loves and, you know, the David Ruffin Juniors and the Chubby Checkers and trying to do whatever I could with them to keep them in the forefront, because when everything is gone, people are going to go, oh, where were they this whole time? You know, you look back on someone's career and you go, what were they doing the whole time?
Right.
You know, so I don't like when I see people that should be working not busy. It's like, I don't know, it's blasphemous to me.
I agree with you on that. I do that a lot in my interviews. I'll reach out to people that I'm thinking people should be talking about them. And I'll say, can I do an interview? Like, you want to interview me? I'm like, yes. You're like, when I did Thelma Houston a couple of years ago, I'm like, you're a legend. You're a legend. And we had the best time in our interview. Became friends. I'm just like, you're a legend. People should be talking about you more. I mean, you have this amazing voice, these amazing songs. You're part of our history. Yeah. So I'm like you. I'm the same. I just do it a different way in terms of bringing my awareness to them too. Like, they should be celebrated. They should be talked about it, and not when they die. And it's like, oh, she was great back in the 70s, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, it's a crazy thing. I remember having a talk where, like, Chubby's almost like he's like a grandfather, like a godfather to me almost.
Yeah.
He's like very wise guy who's not wise guy. He's a lot of wisdom.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
And I was picking his brain and asking him, why are you not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Like, the Twist is the biggest selling record in history. Okay, every time Billboard has that 100 greatest years of Billboard, the Twist is the #1 song every time.
Right.
How are you not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? And he was like, oh, I don't know, man. He goes, maybe they're just, that's how he talks. He goes, maybe they're just waiting until I'm too old to twist, and they just want me to go up there so they can laugh at me, force me to perform. And I noticed they do that to people. They wait till they're hurt. They wait till they're too tired. Yeah. You know, I remember when Jerry Lewis, was it Jerry Lewis? I can't remember. It was somebody went up there and they were performing, and it was almost sad to watch.
Yeah.
And I don't like the way that goes.
Yeah. Now, you do have, speaking of people you work with, our buddy Corey Feldman has a song on the charts right now, and so how did that come about?
A lot of phone calls.
Okay. Okay. I believe it.
Yeah. Okay. So I've been a Billboard radio promoter for about 12, 16 years. Yeah. I lost track. And my job is to try to get him heard. And Corey's been making records forever, and, you know, it's an acquired taste. I understand. Corey's got a different way of doing stuff, and he doesn't believe in the regular rules of music. He's going to just do stuff that makes him feel good, and that's what this is really all about. It's kind of like avant-garde. And what our big dilemma was is that we have this documentary that's really, really important to him and a lot of other people, where he's going above and beyond trying to change the laws to protect children.
Yes.
That's what this is about. And nobody wants to talk about it. It's a lot easier to talk about stranger danger than it is to say, oh, you know, the pedophile is probably your kid's mentor. It's probably some creepy uncle. It's probably the person you're friends with. It's your husband. You know, and nobody wants to talk about that. It's a very uncomfortable thing. And Corey's pushing the envelope, talking about something that's very serious.
Right.
And I had to try to find ways that, with the access and the powers that I have, to help support this. So the song that we're promoting is called You're Free. It is a song that I want to say dedicated to Corey Haim, but it's really the story of Corey Haim.
Okay.
And their interaction together. And it's really not a song that you would normally put on the radio whatsoever. And it plays as the credits roll in the film. It's the only song in this whole documentary. And I had to do what I could do to bring attention to the documentary and keep it you know, keep the press coming so that people hear about it. So if I can force this record and I can go do whatever I got to do to get this record heard, they're going to have to say, you know, it's Corey Feldman in the Billboard Top 40. We've been in the top 20 for 2 weeks now. We flipped a little bit only because a lot of people are putting records out. Like Post Malone came out. I can't compete with Post Malone's budget. But, it'll say you are free, you know, from the motion picture soundtrack of such and such. You know, and then this way I can keep things going and do my part to keep the awareness for, you know, to try to reform these laws, especially with, you know, kids that are working. You know, got to get SAG to change some of the rules on how things are handled if there's a complaint. So so yeah, so that's why we're doing it. How am I doing it? Man, I'm calling people. You're calling people, you're harassing people. You know, a lot of times I'm gonna have to, like, you know, come out of pocket. You're buying advertising, you know, so you're buying advertising space for the film, and we're like, yo, could you please spin us? Just give it a chance. Just try it. I don't care if it's the middle of the night. Do what you got to do, but we need to be heard. And a lot of support is coming in from the radio stations and the companies that own these radio stations, not necessarily because they love the song, but also because they believe in the mission behind it and what Corey's doing, and they understand that he's kind of on a suicide mission. Yeah, the threats were coming in like crazy, and you know, he keeps having to be very cautious and go into hiding. For a while, he wasn't in the country. You know, so yeah, so that's how that is. But this wasn't the first time I had Corey on Billboard. Last time it was more of a pop record, and that was the thing with Snoop Dogg, and we had the Today Show and everything else. So that was an old-fashioned radio promotion campaign. This one's different. This is what I'm doing right now is very political. It's another reason why I've kind of been laying low on the internet, because people want to kill me, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I've kind of get that before too. Trust me for things. It's like a rite of passage. It's like a rite of passage at this point. I'm like, oh, okay, you want to kill me because I give like my opinion? Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's not even a matter of opinion. I think we could all agree that, you know, kids shouldn't be getting, you know, abused on sex. You know, it's like let's move on from that. That's insane. Yeah, and people are getting away with it, and they're living these wonderful lives. And there's, you know, there's guys that are out there that have committed these crimes. They're making millions of dollars today, and they're still in rotation. They're still working around children. It's like, you know, we have to be more accountable for what we're doing and what we're putting out there. So
we do. What makes you a good radio promoter, you think? What traits do you think you have that makes you a good radio promoter?
I don't want to use cliche words like tenacity. I think it's
important, though. That's important.
You got to be cognizant of what people want and when they want it.
Okay.
So the biggest error that I find with other radio promoters is a lot of radio promoters, they just want to take your money. And they don't care where they put the record. So they'll go, okay, well, I got a bunch of friends over here. I can get it played.
Yeah.
All right. But what if you know that's not the market for that?
Right.
Yeah, like you're going to put the record out. The stations are going to play it. The record's going to get pulled because everyone's turning the station. And the people in that area don't want to listen to that. It's like taking a country record and putting it on a top 40 station. It's like, dude, what do you think? You don't do that. Maybe Carrie Underwood, but not Blake Shelton. You have to know where his market will be. And the key to it is traveling to those markets. So a lot of these radio promoters, they're just trying to do things through the email and everything else. They're just trying to send records back and forth. How I did in the beginning was I would drive up and down the coast.
Wow.
And go to California. We're driving up and down the coast. I was treating the radio promotion like it was the 1960s. So I learned from older people that were in the radio business. So I just do exactly what they did.
Wow.
And just physically meet, create relationships. And then from there, those relationships are solid and they get grandfathered. So they know I'm not going to come to them with some record that doesn't fit their station. Because I'm going to make myself look like an ass. I'm going to get, you know, I'm not here to get people fired. You know, and I understand that radio stations their business is to play hits, not break hits.
Yeah.
They don't break hits anymore. There's some people out there that might try it, but they don't really have the freedom to do that. So knowing how to build a radio profile and developing traction, getting sales, being able to get the artist, even if they're difficult, to cooperate, do the drops they need to do, and participate in all the right ways to become more appealing to all those stations. Like, you don't go straight to the #1 station. You work your way around. You triangulate them.
Yeah.
Then you start striking. But not a lot of people are willing to do all that work just to get it going. Like, before Corey hit Billboard, I had the record on all the tiny charts for, 2.5 months.
Wow.
I gradually worked my way up there. I didn't just go out there and be like, hey, I'm going on Billboard. That's insanity. There's people that do it. They're just buying their way through life. I don't do that. So you have to be willing to commit and really stick it out. That's where that tenacity kind of thing comes in. But it's a lot. It's not easy. It's like pulling teeth out.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, that's what I said. I'm like, how do you do? I mean, that's one thing I don't. It's like a lot of hard work.
You beg, you plead, you cry.
You cry. A lot of tears, folks. A lot of tears.
Yeah. Please play the record. It's for the children. You're like, just whatever we got to do. But it's not easy. It's not easy.
Now, what is it like working in television? Because you've done things like Jane the Virgin. You worked in music departments of those. So it must be a different animal than actual straight up music, right? Or is it similar?
When it comes to TV, for me, I'm a very, 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 very small, insignificant part of something that's huge.
Okay.
And I feel like it's very important as an artist, as a business. It doesn't matter what you're doing. But if you're in the entertainment business, a day without a profit's a bad day.
Right. So
no matter what you're doing, it's best to be a part of something big than own a whole 100% of something that doesn't go anywhere.
Interesting.
So
okay.
When I'm working on, it doesn't matter what I'm working on. I will say yes to just about anything as long as it makes sense and it doesn't jeopardize my integrity.
Okay.
So when I'm making records, I have the freedom to do pretty much whatever I want.
Right.
But what comes with that is risk, the expenses, and then the realization that at any time something could flop.
Yeah.
But if I stay working in and around television, whether it's in the sound department, I don't care if I'm like something I do that's just funny. I treat it like an Easter egg. If I work or do any cue music for a show, I'll have them stick me in as like a SAG extra so people can see my face for a second. I do it all the time. Yeah. So I'll be on the set, but I would have to be on that set anyway just to see how things are going so I can get an idea of what it sounds like.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to be there, I might as well be in it because I grew up.
Sure, why not? That's good to me.
Yeah, makes more sense.
Yeah.
And it's a fun thing, because I have this little niche fan base and they get excited when they see me popping up on things. Yeah. So it doesn't matter to me. It could be a reenactment show. It could be a major television show. I don't care. I'm going to say yes to it because a show's a show. And when I'm working on TV, it's giving me an opportunity to stay in the mix, and I will be right there if they ever need music that's licensed to the show.
Okay, great.
So if I'm working on a show like Pose, and Pose is now in the early 90s.
Yes.
I own a lot of music in the early 90s. I've been strategically hanging around.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so anything comes up, it's like, hey, we already have a report. What's going on? Feel free to use whatever you want.
Right.
I'm not going to charge you up front. That's another thing I don't do with TV shows. I don't charge them. What's the point? Yeah. I'm going to make money off the publishing. I want this to be successful. Let's go do that. If I want to make extra money, I'll come be on the show. I'll hang around the set for 5 or 6 days, and there's my cash, and I'll get bored of it. Yeah. That's the next thing. But that's a big part of what it is. It's just to always stay working and be involved. Because think about it. You go to these award shows, you see it's all cliques of people. No one knows anybody.
Right.
But you never know who's going to be working where. It's like a game of musical chairs. So I just like to show up everywhere because it allows me to keep developing and growing my network. So what was the difference is the question you're asking? The difference is when I work on TV, I don't have to do any thinking.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
I don't have to think. And when I'm, working in the studio, all the stress is on me and it's exhausting. So when I'm doing these TV jobs, it's like a break for me. Honestly, it's like a nice, easy, relaxed day, and I don't have to feel guilty about it because I'm still working. Yeah, it gives me an excuse to my phone.
So you mentioned Pose, which is this groundbreaking FX show. Billy Porter, the whole gang, MJ Rodriguez, the whole gang. What is it like being associated with that show for you? Because it's such a different kind of show, groundbreaking show. It's music heavy. It's a period piece. Like, what is it like for you?
That's such a deep question. It's surreal.
Yeah.
First of all, I didn't understand it in the beginning, right?
Okay.
Didn't really know what was going on. Everything was very, very hush hush. And then while you're there, you're realizing no matter what position you're playing, you're doing something for a huge group and market of people.
Yes.
That's for them life changing.
Yep.
And this is, to me, Pose is just as culturally influential. I don't think people realize it yet, but I feel that Pose is as culturally influential as Soul Train was for African Americans.
I agree.
In the because you're giving a face, and you're not having people out there feeling like they're insignificant or unimportant or they're not represented. So you have like these this is so like difficult for me to talk about because I want to make sure I say everything right. But I'm like token straight guy.
Yeah.
So when you're on the show and you're seeing all this stuff go on, and you go home and you turn on like any Netflix show,
yeah,
they always have just the random gay person.
Yes, they do.
Whether that's the storyline or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost feels forced.
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels like it's become affirmative action casting.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't always need affirmative action casting.
No.
What we need is more compelling writing.
Yes.
And the genius behind Pose is that you can't get any more real. It's almost like a documentary, even though it's completely fictional. But it's based on all these true events and what was going on in the world. And it's giving a whole demographic of people an opportunity to follow their dreams, because a lot of these people didn't have an opportunity to get work. There weren't roles for them. And if there were roles for them, they weren't roles that meant anything to them emotionally, that they can really look back on their life. I'm telling you, everybody on that set, down to the extras, are treated with such respect.
I love
and
it.
with such detail and importance. Like, I think that the real MVP of that show is probably the costume department.
Yeah.
It's astounding what they're able to do in such a short amount of time, day in and day out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, I don't really know how to put it into words, because I'm so in it that I can't imagine what people are going to view this as in the future. But this is the thing that's going to spread and change the way television looks. And what really blows my mind is, a lot of people don't know this, but Disney actually owns Pose now.
Oh, how funny. I didn't realize that either. Okay.
Pose was on FX.
Yeah.
There's a company called Pacific.
Yeah.
And Disney bought the network. And I think there's probably a hesitation moment where everybody must have been like, uh-oh, it's the mouse.
The mouse.
You never know. Like, Disney could bring that Disney censorship they used to be known for. And instead, it's just like, here's a bigger budget, go crazy, do your thing.
Yeah.
And it just shows the evolution. Even a company like Disney that used to operate in one way is now so progressive.
Yeah.
So I think it's I don't know, it's just a big change in television. And to even be like a small little speck on that radar is a really, for me, it's a very valuable thing, because it's amazing to be able to know that years from now I'm going to be able to look back and say, no, I was there. Yeah. And I saw how this happened.
Oh yeah, man.
So,
I could talk to you forever, of course. I could talk to you forever. You have to come back on the show again. But we have a guest. I'm going to let this person in.
Oh, really?
Yes, we do. I'm going to put it in. Let's see. You'll see in a second. David Ruffin Jr. is coming in. And folks, you probably know the name, because you've heard the other name of David Ruffin Sr., of course, but he's connecting in. So far I can't see him yet, but I can. There he is. I can see him. Hello, sir.
I gotta press all the buttons. That's what confused me.
I know, it's all these buttons you gotta press, all these things on here. Hi, David Ruffin Jr.
Hello. How are you?
I'm fine. Good afternoon, sir.
You hear that?
Good afternoon, sir.
First of all, I have to ask you this because.
First of all, I apologize. I apologize.
Oh, for what?
I apologize. I meant to be more. I meant to be available a little sooner.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. We're sitting here talking. I'm getting him talking. First of all, David Ruffin Jr. I'm a junior also. I'm James Lott Jr. a junior. I always ask other juniors this. What does it feel like for you? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to you to be a junior?
I mean, it means that I have to carry myself a certain way. And I would think that most juniors probably feel some of that. I have to carry myself a certain way. I have to have in my own imaginations or reality some sort of parallel with my father's, ethics and morals and whatnot. And there's also, I think, to come with juniors to, at least keep the torch lit, if not make it hotter.
Well, I see. Yes. I like that. Now, I want to ask you another question. It's a serious question. It's a serious question, David Ruffin Jr. Why is it we're in quarantine and you look great? Well, how the hell did that happen? I'm like, great beard, nice beard, shaved head, all yoked up, whatever. And I'm sitting here hiding my hair, and I'm like looking like I'm 800 years old, and you look good. What's going on?
Thank you. Oh wow. This
is real life, folks. This is quarantine life. So, I mean, you look fine. How's that going on? What's that going on there?
Thank you. What's going on is I'm just telling you, I am actually bringing a '68 Cadillac back to life, and what you heard was a lot of engine parts that I have taken the rust off of and rust treated, and I've been doing that a lot during quarantine, which is maybe keeping me a little bit more active.
All right. What is it like to work with Mr. DeBarge over there?
Annoying.
That's honest. That's very honest.
Please tell. My ears are ready. Tell me everything. You all laugh.
I mean, he's pretty consistent. He's pretty consistent with. He's kind of overly sometimes meticulous. And it's not even like, as an artist, I would understand. I over criticize and over critique my own self, but he won't, kind of allow me. Our relationship is he doesn't allow me to do that very often. He'll be like, "Yeah, that was it. Let's keep it moving," and I'll be like, "Nah, I can get better. Nah, I can get better." And sometimes we'll get into situations where it'll actually be a discussion. And I have to every now and then, every now and then, I either have to push the envelope or just show him better than I can tell him. But most times I go ahead and listen, because he works with a lot of different types of energies and entities and artists. So way more than I do, maybe not have, but then again, he supersedes that as well because he's worked with a variant of artists throughout the years. So, I mean, I take into consideration what he says because he's had a lot of different, more experience in different demographics of music and entertainment in general, not just writing or producing. So I mean, it does get, he can be annoying, but at the same time, he can always also surprise you and not say shit. So you can also sometimes just sit there and be like,
okay. It's like, okay.
So, and I mean, I had to ask him that once recently, like, what was that about? He was like, I didn't have shit to say. Y'all had it under control. So, I mean, it's mostly all good with him. We've bumped heads a few times, but in the grand scope of things, it doesn't weigh into whether or not we should be family. So,
I like that. Well, it's a creative process. You're artists. I mean, nothing is going to be smooth.
Yeah, so of course we're going to bump heads a little bit more. Not only that, he's super, because he's so short, he's got this Napoleon thing, and I'm tall.
Normal height. Hold on. David's 6'4", okay? Maybe more.
You're tall. Dang. Okay. I'm short next to you too. I'm 6 feet tall, but I mean, I'm short next to you too. Dang.
Right.
But you know those short men. They're strong. They get out there. They push it through. Exactly. The brain. Exactly. I love it. So what's it? So I'll ask you, Michael. You now get your turn. What's it like to work with David Ruffin Jr.?
Intimidating. You know what it is? David's got this, man, David's got this voice that, in my opinion, I think is better than his father's, but I know that's, again, blasphemous of me to say, but no one else is there. I'm there. I see it.
Yeah.
So I feel pressured dealing with him in any way because I know it's got to be, it's got to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you got one chance and you got to make it the best you can. And I know that what will end up happening, because David already has hits. Like, you know, everybody knows he's got gin and juice, all this other shit. So anything I do with him has to be really, really good. Otherwise, they're going to look at me as the problem. So there's a huge responsibility there. And then the other thing that's frustrating is that if I want him to do something in a different way, I can't really I can't sing it for him to get him to do it better.
Oh.
Because he's already doing his own thing. The guy's pitch perfect all the time. So it's aggravating because even bad takes are good takes. They're just not the take I might be looking for. Okay. So that's where I drive him crazy because he knows it's good. Everyone else in the room is going, damn, but I might be looking for something specific, and that's the issue I always end up having with him. But
it looks like to me like you have, David, like you have it. I feel like you have it. I can see it all over you. Like you have it.
Oh yeah, he glows.
Yeah, you have it. Yeah, some folks have it. You see some folks just look at me and go, that person has it. And I think regardless of you being a junior or not, I can tell you have it, period. Like you just have it. That you are. That David Ruffin, it's just, he is a guy who has it. You know, like I've heard your name before. I mean, I've heard your name before out there. I'm happy to meet you now. And one to get to interview with you on my show one day too. I talk about music and stuff. But I've heard the name and I just thought, how fascinating. This guy is putting out some really great stuff. And he's working with Michael DeBarge. He's putting out great stuff too. I mean, it's a great thing. It's a great partnership. I mean, I know that partnering is a hard thing to do sometimes, to find the right person to work with. Right, David?
Yeah, this is true.
David's got a record that we're sitting on that's probably driving him nuts right now. But the thing is, I'm holding on because I really, really want there to be a great video for it.
Oh, okay.
It has a couple things, especially one that's just the greatest thing I ever heard him record. Wow. Sincerely. And I think that was one of those moments where he was like, what do you think? I'm like, bro, I can't say shit.
It's done.
I'm telling you, like, every time, I'm serious, every time we got in the car, even after I left LA, I was on every day, over and over and over again. So, yeah, right, there's just so much there. It's overwhelming. I really wish I had the staff I want to be able to do a project for him the right way.
Yeah.
You know, when it's just the two of us for the most part, it gets overwhelming. And there's so many different directions I would want to have David going. You know, like he could make bank just doing albums of cover songs. He could be doing duets for people. Like the guy can write his ass off. Yeah. You know, so it's really limitless. So you get overwhelmed. And then when you try to do something that's just for David, he's got so many hats on already.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, what am I even producing this, or am I just here?
In the room, in the room with him. So he's having it in the room.
It's crazy. I'm telling you, it's very.
It just sounds like an embarrassment of riches. That's what it sounds like. It's an embarrassment.
Sounds like a what?
An embarrassment of riches. Like just an embarrassment. Like you're good at what you do. He's good at what he does. You do many different things. He does many different things. It just sounds like it really works somehow, right, David?
Well, it does work because I mean, like, we do similar things. However, like I tell people say to me, I wish I could sing. I say, you can sing. It's just a matter of how well. So the fact that him and I do a lot of the same stuff, he does a gang of shit that I don't or am intimidated by. But in regards to the music, production, even visual, we have a lot of the same capabilities. But it depends. It might depend. He might be able to handle, you know, producing a track or mixing a track or writing a treatment, and or those roles might change, which is really not the case, because I can probably write something, and I can probably make, you know, bring imagination to pen a little bit here and there better than him. But then again, not only does it depend on the situation, but it depends on the person's, you know, energy and vibe and what they're going through and dealing with. You know, every day ain't good to write, but sometimes if you can pull or create, sometimes if you can pull some of that energy into it, you might come up with something different. You know, you're just the best you that you've become so far. So some of that, and it's nice to evolve. I think we've known each other over 10 years now.
Wow.
And it's really weird too. Listen, I had a contract with him. He was my manager. And in my mind, and I think in his too, he still is.
He's laughing.
But I tell you what, he's done more for me prior and after the actual signing date and the expiration date. He's done more for me in and out as opposed to in. I mean, it's weird. It's weird. We've had more fun and had more projects to work on, and more deeper conversations, and build professionally and as brothers. More so, like I said, before he was my manager, and after, I was hella frustrated with him for those 3 years. Yeah. I was hella frustrated with him, and now I'm like really not. I'm not too frustrated with him. He's like, you know, he's like bang bang pow now, and then he's got a lot of new inspiration and not a motivation, and a lot of things not kind of hindering him as much. And you know, we feed off of that for each other. That's what, you know, that's what creative people do, and that's what brothers do, and that's what family does. And if you're lucky, you know, it turns out to be something fantastic. But what we do, we still do because we enjoy it. If we were doing it for money, we'd have both been fighting and or quit.
Yeah, long time ago.
Right.
That's
the lesson. All that for a long ass answer.
I know. I love the answer. that's a great answer, and we're going to end it on that, because I love that answer, because it's basically, if you don't like what you're doing, you're screwed. I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, if we live in this earth, it goes by so fast. I literally just had a birthday the other day, and I'm like, how old am I now? Like, it just goes by so fast. I mean, it really does. So I've chosen to only do things I like to do with people I like to do it with. It sounds like you guys are the same way, basically. It's like we're choosing positivity, folks. That's a rich.
Yeah, even though he could be a space ghost sometimes, leaving me out of posts and stuff like that. But that's all right. He also puts me in posts that I don't even belong in. So whatever. Hey. Go figure. Take the good with the bad. I'm gonna let y'all finish doing what y'all were doing. I just wanted to come in here and chime in and show my support for both of my brothers, black men.
Yes.
Empower yourselves. Hold each other accountable, like we all are trying to do every day, and stay safe. And I'm on the side of 6 feet plus 6 inches, so that, you know, I'm trying to get minus 6 inches. I'm trying to get closer to my people as we can. I guess it's about to be like every state for themselves here in a minute. You know, I guess wherever you're at, I hope that, you know, y'all are healthy and safe, and don't get in no fights over people wearing masks at the store. Just walk down a different aisle. That's all.
That's right, David.
It's your man DRJ. Thank you for having me. I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all go. Love you, Mike, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace, love, and razor blades.
Yes. Oh my God, I love him. Okay. I need to have him on my show. I need to have him separate on my show. I love him already.
Oh yeah,
I can tell it's gonna be a good talk. I love that. And I said this to you last night on my show. I said, you know, or yesterday we were texting. I love seeing a strong black men working together, and not that whole crab in the barrel mentality of just like, it's only one spot for that one black person, so let me step on you to get there. But we're all here for each other. I reached out to you, and you work with him. It's like, that's the whole point. We're here to like help each other. That's what we're here for.
I think it's fun to play just the role, you know, like I just do my thing and let everyone else just do what they do best. And I feel like real leaders make leaders. You know, there's to try to compete about it. It's
Nope.
nothing gets done. So it's, I don't know, makes life interesting. I'm really fortunate. I got these exciting and fun and very compelling people around me. So it makes everything so much easier. So when you were saying, what do I look for in an artist or a client or somebody that I work with, that's a good example.
Yes. Well, Michael, you have to come back on because I mean, we could talk for 10 hours and then people don't watch that, but you have to come back. I want to talk to you about music publishing. I want to talk about all these other things. It's like, you're very fascinating. You have so much going on. And I know how that feels. I have the same way. That one interview is not going to contain it all. I'm just going to do it again at some point. But I'm happy that we have a new friendship and that we've been talking. And I'm excited for all the things you have going on. I really am. I'm rooting for you.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and you did good today. Tell folks at home where they can follow your projects or follow you on social media or whatever your websites, whatever you want to tell them.
Not just my name. Just all they got to do is go on social media and just type in Michael DeBarge.
Very good. Very good. And I'm James Lott Jr. You can find me where all James Lott Jrs are sold at James Lott Jr. on all social media, everywhere. Just type my name in too. You'll find me. Follow me on TikTok, folks, at James Lott Jr. See what I'm talking about, which Michael's going to do later. He's going to download it and follow me. That's what you got to do.
15 minutes.
I want to thank David Ruffin Jr. for coming through and talking to us also. Everyone, please be safe and sane during this strange time period. This is In Between Pages with James Lott Jr. We're on all social media platforms. We're on all streaming services, and we're on YouTube at JLJ Media. Everyone, please take care.